Chicken and the Cheater Cheetahs, Part 6 of 15. With help from her friend Mike and well-meaning but amazingly disconcerting helper, Yossarian, Dr. Paula Tracy scrambled to the side or top of the Southwick Zoo delivery van and, rising to her full height, scanned the scene south of her from a 13-foot high vantage. Looking south from atop the 8 feet the Mercedes Sprinter van afforded her, Paula was assaulted by the wreckage of the snaking freight train that had barreled down upon them mere minutes earlier and which now lay across the highway. The Southwick van had been taken out by the flying locomotive just west of the Northridge Street and Highway 15 interchange and just east of the Blind Brook rail line overpass. Catastrophe had struck Mike, Paula, and the 6 cheetahs they were transporting when the freight train had fallen from the sky and the two vehicles, anthropomorphically speaking, had tried but failed to share the same adjacent to the railroad overpass space at the same hurtling along at a wrong angle time. Paula blinked repeatedly as she took in the twisted wreckage of the freight train that snaked north to south across the 2 westbound lanes of the Hutchinson River Parkway through the shattered concrete median that had, prior to being pulverized by the train, provided a meter-tall barricade between east and westbound automobiles, then continued well south of the 2 eastbound lanes of the Hutchinson Parkway. Immediately south and east of her was the wreckage of half a dozen eastbound automobiles that had slammed into the southbound derailed behemoth, some of which had burst into flames just prior to being slammed into by cars that followed. Looking at the nearby carnage, Paula had a blitzkrieg lightning strike realization that the van she stood upon was relatively unscathed. Her realization that, despite being in a terrible predicament, that she'd mostly been spared from the massive catastrophic results that greeted her eyes made Paula's mind wander in self-protection, and for the briefest of moments the scene of carnage reminded her of a litter of puppies who'd gathered to suck on the teats of the Great Mother. Sadly, this quaint snuggling and suckling scenario was immediately extinguished as the impact of the still burning carnage that lay in front of her weighed down upon and greatly affected her. All the cars she'd imagined as suckling puppies, snuggling and nursing happily, she realized, were cars that had subsequently been accordioned by following cars, and the contrast of her fleeting, imagined suckling scene compared to the grisly devastation that assaulted her eyes, ears, and nose amplified the catastrophe's impact on her in a soul-crushing way. Looking further west of the multiple burning cars that had crashed into the train and then been crashed into, Paula saw the carnage become both less severe and less common, though there was, interspersed among the stretch of stopped autos that extended as far as she could see, further collisions both great and small. Paula's short interlude of shock and awe was interrupted by Mike calling to her from inside the toppled-on its side van. "Paula, you okay? I need a hand up." "Coming," she said quietly as her gaze took in the empty wasteland of the Hutchinson. "Mike, find our phones and pass them up. I'm going to have to stay here and help with triage," she managed to say before the lump in her throat made speech impossible and the tears in her eyes turned everything into a blur.